Here's the, so guys, we should start the session. So like I said, for React to start, you should install Node first. If you click on this, you have to click on this Windows installer so that it gets downloaded. I will resume and I will cancel because I already have this Node. So after installing, you have to go for your terminal, CMD, a shortcut for command prompt. Here, whether Node is installed or not, you have to write node -v. So it will give you the version. Right after this, you have to start creating a React app. For that, you have to write npx create create React app and name of your React app. It should be in lowercase. I will write React app only. Name of my application is React app only. So once you do this, it starts downloading. It will create an app for you. So let it create. I have already one which I have started on Friday. So this will be your app. So here I'll just close this app.js to be built. It will provide a third party libraries for that so that you can add some more dependencies for your project. For example, if I have to say there's a thing provide all that is required for your React application. So that is about node modules. Next you have public. In this public folder you have this favicon. Like I have previously told you in HTML and CSS what favicon means. Can you tell me what favicon is? This is a favicon. Like giving an image for the tab. That is what we call it as favicon, right? Look at this image and look here in the browser. Well, I'll run this. To run this, you have to click on terminal npm start. npm stands for Notepad Manager. npm start. Still installing. So once you do this, it will run. And I told you favicon means it will be added to the tab of the application. And here you have index.html. Any website you see, when you want to run that website where it contains multiple web pages, index.html is the page that you have to run. So here for the React, you won't run this index.html, just remove these comments. It will be easy for you to understand. If you want to know what it is in your application, you can go right ahead. So I'll close this head tag. I told you it contains meta information of the website. I'll just close this. Then I'll remove this comment. So if you observe this body tag, you have, I'll just remove this no script. Inside the body tag, what you have? You have one div which has an ID root, right? So this is about index.html. This is the main page, but you cannot run this in React. Then you have this logo, you have this images, then you have manifest JSON. Like what all the images is present there, right? It is just have a definition of what it has been given from start. Look here, short name React app, name create React app sample. These are by default. If you want, you can delete it. Okay, even that images you can remove those. Okay, right after my application starts, why I have to write npm start, all these things you will know. So this is about public folder. You have favicon, an image, you have an index.html. Like it has to be the main file, but when you run, this is not the main thing. You have just given the connection, that's it. So here if I give open with live server, it will run, but you cannot do in such a way for React app. Okay, let me see whether it is started. Yeah, now it has started. Look, React app. Look, I have run it from live server. Okay, look how it is looking. In public folder, I have index.html, right? Look how it is looking. You cannot run this directly. You may run, but it won't load properly. So you cannot run this way. Look what I have run with npm start. This is how you run a React file. Usually it takes time, but once after it runs at the first time, it will be easy. How it is running. So that is about the public folder. You know what node modules is and what public means. And here you have src folder which stands for source. So here you have app.css, app.js, index.css, index.js. This rep import web vital setup test, you just ignore this. Here in the source, the main thing is app.js and index.js. So in index.html, whatever I do, there's no changes. So if I go for app.js, whatever the changes I do here, this is what going to make changes there, right? So welcome to my React app. Instead of this, I'll write my first React application. Okay, I'll save this. Look, if you do control yes, just do that. And if you go there, look, my first React application, it will be saved already there. Once you save in VS Code, it will be saved in the browser too. So here, why I should change in app.js? Because app.js is the root component. Everything in React we build or what we make is of components, and components will be of two types, which I'm going to show later. But for now, app.js is a component which is the root component of a React application. You might have a question in React, which is the root component of a React application, app.js. Got it? Now, this app.js is connected to index.js. This is index.js, not index.html. Look here, the app which we imported from here. I can change the name. So here what I'll write, instead of app, I will say first. 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 I'll give the name. This is the component name. I'm exporting it. And here I will import it. Import first. First. Look here, you cannot see anything here. So here you have to change. It is wrapped with React strict mode. Now this first, I'll place it here. first first. Look, it will run the same now. So what you have to understand from this, here you have to, this is the component name. That component name you will export default first. You will export. That thing you will import first from slash app. First is the component name. Look here first. And here you have app slash app, that is the file name. Import app component from dot slash app file. Look here, this is the file app.js. Look here, even if you mention or don't mention, it is understood app.js only. Look, it is still the same. So here I'll go, you can change, but by default this is the thing that you are going to see. So this means that this component you have imported here and you have made it display here. And here you have in the index.html, what's the idea I have here? The same root. Can you see here? Get element by ID. Whatever that is inside the app.js, we will get into index.js. In index.js, we will make that display here in the index.html. If I change the root here to ABC, now it won't work. Look, you cannot see anything. So it should be the same here. The ID is ABC for index.html. Look, now it will work. By default, it will be root and app.js. So index.js, you can say entry point of React application. It will give that React to index.js is the entry point. Whatever the changes you make, it will be given to index.js. Here it will be binded with react.strict mode. This is a tag to wrap it up. And this thing will be to index.html, and this index.html will run here. Any doubts you have of the file? Any doubts you have? So now coming to components, I told you React app.js is the root component and it is to build class component. Whatever the files you are going to build, it should be in the src folder. I'll create one folder here. Here I'll be write pages, folder name, and inside this I'm going to create a class component. So name of the class component, I'll give class component only, class comp. You can give any name. As this is a class component, I'm going to use this class component.js. So here you have to write import React from React. Next, how to build a class? You have to write new class, name of the component. Name, what is the name of the component? This is the file name. Remember, this is the file name. Now I'm going to give cls comp. This is the component name. Extends, right? render method, render method, and inside this render method you have to write a return. Do you guys remember return? So this is the syntax of a class component. Here you are getting error, I will tell you why. This is the syntax of a class component. Now what I will do, inside the return, I am going to add an empty tags. I will tell you why I need to add an empty tags. Inside the tags, I am going to write here, I am a class component. I have saved this. Now I want to display in the browser. Look here, it is not getting displayed. How to display? First you have to export it. How to write export? Export default name of your component. Now where you have to show, because app is running, right? You have to get it in the app. I have exported. Here I will import it. Import CLS comp. Look, CLS comp is component name, class comp is file name. That is the reason I have changed here with the spellings. Get to know importing component name. From where? From the file name. So here, how to display a component? You have to write opening tag. These are all self-closing tags. Name of your component slash close. I will save this now. And now if you go and see that, I'm a class component is getting displayed. Look what I did, you understood, right? I have created a class component. Class, name of the component, extends component. Then inside that render method, inside return, this is the syntax. Whatever you want to write inside the return, we call it as JSX. When you are writing HTML inside a JavaScript function, we call it as JSX, JavaScript XML. JSX full form is JavaScript XML. This is what we call JSX. And now I am trying to export it. Export default name of the component. That thing I am getting imported in the app.js. And this is how you have to display. Now I told you this empty tags, right? Even if I remove this empty tags, it will work. Look here, it will work. I am a class component. Now what I will do, I'll write I am from class file. Class file is just a name I have given. Look there. Can you see? It has been underlined, and if you see, look at the errors here. So inside the JSX, whenever you are using HTML, right, you can use directly one element. If you are using more than one element, it should be having a parent element. This can be anything. Either it can be empty. It can be empty. It will work. Or else you can use a div. It will work. Div, I think I have used a slash wrong. Div. Okay, it should be wrapped. If you are using more than one HTML element, it should be wrapped. It should have a parent. Parent means, look, when I close this, this becomes a parent. Inside that, we call it as children, right? So it should have a parent. Either it can be empty or a div. But in React, tell me what is div? Hmm? Exactly. So when you use div, it has its own property, right? When you're adding a div as a parent, the child will get the style of a div. Everything will become block. That is a, like, it will be a mistake, right? Like whatever you want to display, it becomes a mistake. So in React for parent, you can leave empty. That is fine. Or if you want to wrap, you can use react.fragment. Fragment. This is just a tag which will be acting like a parent tag for the JSX. So for this, there is no style applied. It is not a block level, it is not an inline. It will just be a parent for the child JSX. This look, it still works the same. The way how I did it, it is the same. Wait, I will do one function component. So here I'll go and create a function component. You have to know how I'm using while watching the video. Please focus on the words what I'm using, okay? The syntax, I'll be saying the syntax. I'll write here function. And here again same, a return inside a class or a function, you should have a parent tag. So always try writing react.fragment, and in interview if they ask what are react fragments, you have to able to say the answer. It has nothing but a parent tag for JSX. React fragment I'm a function component. I'm a function. Now I have to use this function component. How to do that? I have to export it first. Export default name of the component. Here again I have to import it first. Import funcom, and again here a self-closing tag element like that I have to specify. So now you have I'm a function component. So in the function component, how I created function is the right. Look at the app.js function, name of the function. Then I have used return, and it has a return. Here it has a JSX. I'll remove this class name a div JSX. And it's not that you have to import components in the app.js itself. Look, I will import function here too. In the class, look, this is a class component. Here also I will import a function component fn. Now you will have twice. This is from class component. This one is from function component. So you can import and export. But if you want to show, that should be in app.js. Or else you can create a component. Every component there, the component which holds everything, that component should be in app.js. That is why we call app.js as the root component of a React application. Anyone who is having doubt, let me know. I will explain it again. Because these are all the core concepts of React. If you understand these things, going ahead, everything will be easy. If not, will be a bit difficult. Got the clear idea how class and function are different? So whatever the functions or concepts or methodologies I'm going to use in class, at the same time I'll make them work in function, and you have to watch out how different it is. For example, for class component we'll have a life cycle. Can you tell me what life cycle means? Time from when to when? Birth to death. Even for components, there is a lifecycle methods for class and hooks for function component. When a class component is born, when it is getting updated, and when it is getting terminated. Even same goes for the function. How it is different, and we use state for this. A state, a value. For class, it is different. For function, it is different. So every example, what I'm going to do, I'm going to differentiate them. So each and every class matters from now on, and this is the core principle, core concept of React. How class syntax, how function syntax is different, how you can import and export. And one of the features of React is, I'll just remove this. You can reuse those functionality. That is the main use of having components in React. If I declare look, I don't have to write the logic again. If I just have to import, I have imported it 5 times. It will show 5 times. So wherever the logic you have, you can write it at one place, and you have 10 components. In 10 components, you have to have that technology in 5 components. Just import it there. Which is easy, right? Repetitive work is reduced, right? That is why we use components. It is not why we use by default as const name of the function arrow syntax. Class only one. When it comes to function, it can be a normal function or an arrow function. I'll tell you what's the difference there. It is easy with handling with parameters. When you have to deal with parameters, right, it will be easy. Any doubts or any concept you want me to explain again, I'm ready. Because going on, I don't want you guys to have confusion there. Any doubts? Clear, right? I'll ask the questions related to this only at the last. So now coming on to props. So in function component, first I'll go with class component. In class component, what I'll do, I'll start with Chetan. I'm giving an example for props. Chetan, Chetan, what do you want to become? Which developer? Chetan is a full stack developer. I'll remove this. I'll just remove this function component. So right now I have a class component. What it is showing, Chetan is a hmm, full stack developer. I've used this component 5 times. 2, 3, 4, 5. So all the 5 is showing Chetan only, right? I have used the components, but I am using the same component, but the value should be different. For that, we use props. So here what I will make, I'll use name. Here I'll write Chetan, and here I will write Rohit. Rohit. Here what it is showing, still showing Chetan, right? So here what I'll do, I have to use props. So how to use props in class component? You have to write this dot props dot. So here this is what we call it as a props. This can be anything. This is not something you have to give name. You can give XYZ, ABC, LMN, anything. For this, you need if you need this value, you have to give this dot props dot name. Now I will save this and look now. You got Chetan and Rohit, right? You got Chetan and Rohit, right? So here instead of developer work, the components and you need some change over there, you can do it with props. I did it here, right? I use the same component with different props. Yeah, yeah, switch developer. Like this n number of things you can pass. Follow it? Right? Look. So when you are using reusable components, if you want slight change in them, you can do it with props. And observe here how I have used props in class component. This dot props mandatory you have to use in class component, and that too it should be inside a braces. Then name of the props what you have passed. Look, I have used here name. So if I use here ABC, look, Chetan will not show me. This ABC if I pass here, others will not show except Chetan. The same name, it is left to you. You can customize the props. So here I have written this dot props dot name, right? Here, let me make it correct here. Now, how to pass the same props with function? So I'll go here again. So I'll just display the function from first function. F n com. So how to pass props here? Props is the same way that you have to pass. This is the same way. This is same here. This is same. Passing props is same. But in the component, here I have used this dot props num props dot name, right? Here you have to pass it here. So name comma work. So here you have to write. Here directly you can use name is a work. So Chetan is a full stack developer. You got it? This function component. I have written a line here, right? Now I'll pass the props. I'll just copy paste this. Control C. Look, whenever you find this thing, you just click on this folder, so you'll get back where you are. Rohit. Yes. Rohit, you got the same output, right? But in class, you have to use this dot to pass props. This is another way of passing props. Props, here you have to write props dot name, here props dot work. This will work. This is one way of passing props in function. If you don't want to use the word props, you have to create an object here. Then you have to pass directly the values, which are name, comma, work, and here you can directly use them. So this is about class component, function component, and props. So I'll just stop it here. Like I said, I don't want to rush into these things because these are all the core concepts of React. So I'll share the video. I need exact output tomorrow. Exact. You have to add an HR, and HR and break tag you have to add like this. You just add an HR like this, and if you save, it won't work. Which was working in HTML, but here it is a self-closing tag. Even the break tag you have to use a self-closing tag. Got it? So this is about React's first session. Going on lifecycle methods, state initialization, hooks, all these things you are going to learn. And there's one more thing. Did you observe here this? Did you observe this keyword here? What this refers to? Not exactly an object. Got it? So this is about today's session. Go through it. Package version, right? Like I said here, this page is this source has been built. This git ignore is like when you learn git, right? You'll get to know like how directly you can upload React application with the package.json. The dependencies, 1,000 dependencies are there in node modules, but for your project you have taken 10. So you have to know which 10 from the 1,000, right? The 10 what you have used will be shown in package.json. Look here, you have this React. By default, you have all these things. Going on, I'll import Axios for API integration, React Router DOM for routing. Then you can see here how it is going to keep on adding from here to here. Look here, I'll show here. I have this Babel, like you have many more. Let me see. Yeah, the top, nothing is present, but those are all the dependencies. Which dependencies you have used? It will be there in your package.json. And if you want to share your files, we have to extract them. And while extracting, you can delete node. It will install everything that is needed from the node module. Got it? So that is about today's session. Have a great day.